Hello, how are you?
Hey, doing well. How are you?
I'm pretty good, thank you. All right, let's get started.
Cool.
So hi, my name's Bri. I'm from the Alternative Journal, and today I have the utmost pleasure of being joined by the one and only Stephen of Chelsea Grin. How are you today?
I'm doing well. I'm hanging in there, getting ready to go on tour and then go on tour again. So
That's the way.
gearing up.
So I want to start off by saying that Chelsea Grin was one of my first introductions to the deathcore genre. My brother
Cool.
had Desolation of Eden downloaded onto our family iPod Touch. I swear the first time I heard False Sense of Sanity, I like levitated and my mind was blown. So I would
Oh yeah.
love to get to know some of your roots in the genre and how you found yourself first starting off to listen to this kind of music.
Yeah, I mean, it started pretty early. I mean, it kind of came from a weird place. I grew up, my dad is a classical musician,
Oh wow, yeah.
and, eventually I started, you know, listening to music where the guitars were more and more distorted and all this stuff. And then I started stumbling across music that was kind of classically influenced. You could sort of hear these composers' influence on metal, and I was like, wow, well, you don't hear that a lot in genres outside of classical music. So things like Nevermore, Dimmu Borgir, and stuff like that, I was hooked on from the moment I heard it, as well as like the staples. I Metallica was a big thing for me, Slipknot. But when I made that connection between what I grew up listening to and listening to my dad play and music that just sort of spoke to me, it was like, well, I found music I love, but it also connects with me in a way that's a lot deeper. I think of my dad, um, I think of my family in in like the least corny way possible. I'm just like, wow, my dad would love this, or my this sounds like something I've heard my dad play 100 times, just modified to be heavy. And so it was really that. I mean, I always grew up loving music again, being surrounded by it,
Mm.
but it was pretty fast. I went from like having NSYNC and Baha Men CDs to like Slipknot CDs and discovering Dimmu and stuff like that. So it was it was like I flipped a switch. I was like, all right, no more Who Let the Dogs Out. And now it's, you know, brutal black metal and crazy
Yeah,
stuff. So it just kind of happened in a day.
absolutely. I get that. I still find myself when I listen to new music and I think of my dad, I immediately send it across to him because he influenced a lot of my music taste as well, for sure. In saying that, when you started playing music, was that influenced by your dad? Like, how did you get into playing guitar?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I started they put me in music classes in school
Mm.
as soon as it made sense to, and I started off with violin and cello and piano, and I was bopping around between things, and I realized that I think, being a kid, I worshiped my parents. I always loved what they did. But at the same time, I was like, well, hey, my dad's playing violin. That's not as fun. Like, the apple falls not far from the tree, right? But I want it to like roll a little bit further off into something that we can still connect on, but it's uniquely me. And so I was, learning all these classical instruments and learning my sight reading and all of this. And then it sort of coincided with discovering heavy music. And I was like, dang, like I wanted to be a drummer, but I lived in New York City at the time and in an apartment, and like there's no back in that time there wasn't like a silent drum kit I could play. So I couldn't play drums. And so I was like, you know what? The guitar is pretty cool too. Like those guys are up there shredding. It's pretty badass. I mean, my mom grew up with Guns N' Roses, so I was like, okay, Slash, like that's a guitar god. Van Halen, these are guitar gods. That's cool. Those are some rock stars. And so I was like, you know what? I'll give guitar a spin. And it just stuck. I think it was the right balance of still honoring this like musical tradition in my family,
Mm.
but while also having my own identity with it. So I was
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
yeah.
Um,
So
What
Yeah.
was your gateway after learning guitar? What was sort of your gateway into playing with bands and playing with other people?
Um, I mean, pretty much as soon as I picked up a guitar, I formed a little band. We were called Just Noise, and we
No.
were like 12 years old and playing like this talent shows and whatnot. And I just realized that the composing side of things was so exciting to me, making something out of nothing. And I practiced by learning other people's songs, but then when I started to sort of crack the code on like technique and just sort of how songs are written, structures, things like that. Then I was like, I'm gonna try this. So I got a little interface and
Mm,
started making music. And I was like, well, as long as I'm making music, I need people to play it with.
yeah.
And so, I mean, I've been in a band every day of my life since I was 12, and that takes a lot of different forms and a lot of different sounds. I was in like a Christian techno metalcore band, and I wasn't even Christian,
Whoa.
and I didn't even like techno, but I was like, screw it. I mean, it's a band. It's I'm learning from it. These are my best buddies, so let's do it. I've been in all sorts of iterations of bands locally, and yeah, I don't know. I just found that the collaboration was always so fun for me. Having a group of people to be on stage with, ripping a sick show, and like it's your buddies, it's not just your work partners. It's like the best office I could ever ask for. And so I just was hooked on it. As I've gotten older, it's reality sinks in and you're like, okay, this is a lot of work,
Yeah,
but nothing has deterred me thus far.
absolutely. So going from writing songs by yourself to writing songs in bands, um, have you noticed a big difference to when you used to write songs then to now? Like, how do you go about doing it now? What's your process?
It is always changing. I think
Mm,
because Chelsea Grin has been lucky to work with different producers, different engineers. Everybody, every member of the band, of which we've had, admittedly many, everybody leaves their mark on how I think about making music.
mm,
So now it's very much, and everybody's different. Like our drummer Josh, he'll get a whole song out in a day,
mm,
and it's rough. It's the skeleton of a song, but that's his approach. For me, it's like I like to find the part that's like the identity of this song. Everything I want in this song is contained in this part, and then I grow it from there. So I'm very much like I write a few parts, I deck them out, I make sure they're full of production, I make sure the drums are absolutely dialed in, guitars are perfect, everything is as good as I can get it. And like, it all sounds good. It's mixed nicely. That's like an approach I've gotten from producers through the years. If it sounds good, you're gonna write better. And so I've like, I really take like the mixing side of things very seriously in my process because I want to be as inspired as I can be as I'm writing. And there's 1,000 different factors. And that's probably the biggest thing is that I used to be able to just sit in any room with any setup, did not matter, and I could write. And now I think my tastes, I've been spoiled in a sense by the luxury of having like, I'm sitting in my home studio right now. I've got all this gear, I've got all these things to make sure the vibe is right. My inspiration is now dictated by so many more things than just like I feel like writing a song. It's like, yeah, I always feel like writing a song, but damn, the lights are a little too bright and shit. I need to light a candle, shit. I need to take care of some stressors outside of music before I'm like really in that headspace, and it comes and goes. I mean, some days are great, some years are bad when it comes to inspiration. So I don't know, it's constantly evolving. Everybody I'm surrounded by, I learn something from,
yeah,
big or little. Um, so the songwriting approach, it's like ever evolving.
for sure. Do you have any tracks in particular that you have super fond memories of writing?
I mean, I think that th- there's memories around a lot of songs. I
Yeah.
mean, some of them are a little silly, just like, hey, I wrote this song. There's a song called Flood Lungs.
Mm.
Um, hey, I wrote this song. I was in a weird time in life. I was like, I'm just gonna travel. I went to LA for a month, rented a room, had a beautiful view, and I was like, I'm setting up a shitty little studio right here, and I'm looking out at this view. And I remember feeling what I was feeling in that moment in time, like this freedom. And it's not necessarily reflected in the song so much as it is like maybe the listener won't hear the headspace I was in, but I can always recall that. And we did Eternal Nightmare in 2018, that album. And that album was surrounded by stress and calamity and worry and things changing. And I was able to find a little bubble of peace in even the simplest of routines. Like I'd go out on the porch, I'd listen to Tame Impala for like an hour before I would step into the room to work. And, I don't know, every song harkens back a memory for me. I can kind of remember everything about the process of every song, and I think it's just because, I get like very emotionally involved, for better health or for worse, like music and the process of making it is so much of my identity and my self-worth. And so it's like I really hinge on every moment I spend doing it. There's the dark times where I'm struggling. And even that is like, I remember that. I I'll never forget times where I had a hard, year of working on stuff, and then to get out of it, like that's magical and it's amazing. And I'll never forget what it felt like to struggle with a part or anything, and then what it was like to come out of that. I don't know, I could give you a specific memory for every song, at least in the last 3, 4 releases, So yeah, it's there's a little emotion, a little snippet in time attached to everything, every piece.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really sick. I know that the band made their Australian debut at Soundwave in 2013, but I believe your first Australian show may have been the 2015 headliner with Boris the Blade. Do you have any
Yeah,
cool memories about touring in Australia? Have you noticed like a difference between Aussie audiences and other audiences, or?
yeah, definitely. I think that Australian audiences are like the perfect audience. And I'm not just saying that like we have a tour coming up. Yeah, I'm speaking with an Australian right now. It's just genuine. I think almost any band, at least in our genre, would tell you the same thing. It's just so kind and so cool. I don't just mean like it's a cool place. I mean like everybody is cool. Everybody's down to earth. Everybody is supportive. Um, they'll mosh like crazy and give you as much energy as they possibly can, and then you'll talk to them after the show and they're just like the most pleasant, easygoing person. And I mean, it's genuinely like, I use this term already in an interview, but it's like a vacation tour for us. We might be playing a show every day. We might have one day off on this upcoming tour, but it's not going to feel anywhere near the stress of doing the same routing in a different place.
Mm,
And granted, I love touring anywhere. I'm always grateful, but Australia, it's just easy. It's effortless.
absolutely. I'll take that. Thank you.
Hey, thank you guys. I mean, that's on y'all for making it so cool.
Absolutely. Do you have any Aussie bands that you love a lot, or?
Yeah, I mean, we've been able to make friends with so many different artists. I'd say, we were really close with Boris the Blade
Yeah.
back in the day. I mean, and still chat with some of them. There was a band called Graves that
Yeah.
I was really fond of, and we actually had Alex. He was their bassist. He came and sold merch for us out here in the States.
Oh, that's sick.
Um, and like Amity, we've played with
Mm.
so much. Parkway. Parkway is one of those bands that we run into. We'll play festivals with them, usually in like Eastern Europe is where we tend to collide with them. And they're just like the most gracious, for being literal rock stars, they're just like so cool and so easy, and it's inspiring just to like witness not just their show, but the machine that they operate.
Mm.
Um, I mean, it's so hard. I feel like every Australian band I've ever met, I'm like, dude, these guys are sick. They're freaking cool. Um, yeah, yeah, it's hard to narrow down. I feel like I'm flooded with different cool people. But I'm excited to also meet some new bands coming up too. Like I feel like I make new friends with the band every time I'm out there. The Polaris guys are also some like
Yeah.
major Void of Vision. Those I know that they're wrapping it up soon, but like man, that band left a huge impression on me just as people.
Yeah.
And and even at the time, like I wasn't listening to their music, and now I like listen to their newest stuff, and I'm like, wow, I mean, good dudes, sick music. I don't know, I can just keep going on. Thy Art, those are buddies of ours. Love loved that we got to tour with them out there. I mean, again, Australians are all cool. Anytime I think of an Australian, I know I'm like, yeah, that's a
Yeah.
that's a friend.
That's a mate if you want to use Aussie slang.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
mate. That's a true mate.
Absolutely. Do you have any like pre-show rituals to hype yourself up before a gig?
I'm like very anxious on stage. I get not necessarily stage fright, but I just get like performance fright. I want to play well. I'm I'm not this like perfect guitarist that doesn't have to think about it when I walk on stage. Like I really have to go up there and try to do well. And so for me, it's more about a place of isolating and relaxing. That involves like I need to do stretches. I need to work through parts of the set just to like, every night brush up on them before I go out and give it. I have one chance to play it perfectly, so I'm gonna get it as ready. And then once I've completed all that process, I have to just like relax
Mm,
and not not be side stage getting pummeled with sound. I need to be like in my zone, in my AirPods, just like cool down a bit, get your breathing normal, get your head right.
yeah.
So for me, it's very much like anxiety maintenance before a show. Not that
Yeah.
I don't love playing the show,
It's
but
fair
yeah.
enough. It's a pretty big deal. I couldn't imagine being on a stage in front of what thousands of people that would I'd stand up there and just start crying probably. So good on you for being able to do that, man.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
definitely challenging myself every
yeah.
day. It's not natural to me, but the life I have, so I deal with it.
Yeah, for sure. It's very rewarding, regardless, I imagine. So,
Yeah.
as you said earlier, you have an upcoming Aussie tour with legends Currents, Bloom, and Heaven's Gate. Is there anything else you can possibly tease about Chelsea Grin's future?
Well, I mean, we're always working on music, but
Mm,
we're in a phase right now where we're like really trying to work on music, and we're being hypercritical for the best to make sure that whatever we put out next is I don't want to just like use common tropes of how people phrase these things. We want it to be the best material we've ever put out, right? Obviously, but we want to challenge ourselves. We want to expand what Chelsea Grin can be defined as. We want to
mm,
expand what deathcore can be defined as. And it's not that we feel we bear the cross of doing this all for everyone else. It's just that at this stage in our career, we've existed for a long time. Business has always been good, right? And we're not doing it because we need business to be better or we're like craving the material side of things. It's like, how can we truly make music that's rewarding, that shows that growth can happen even for old dogs like us, and also just like feels refreshing for anybody who's listening, not even just somebody who knows Chelsea Grin. Like I want someone who's never heard the band to listen to and be like, hey, this is refreshing in the grand scheme of music.
mm,
Um, so, we're writing. It's not so much tease. I don't really know when things are happening. I definitely sooner than later, right? But for us, we've written so many songs and so many of them go to the chopping block because it's not it's not this like metamorphosis that we want it to be. We want it to be special and undeniable. And if people like it, that's great. But at the end of the day, as long as no one can say that we didn't try something fresh and really test ourselves and really try to push boundaries, that's like what's really important to us. We want it to be undeniably new for Grin, while also still being Chelsea Grin. Like we can't stop being heavy. We can't get rid of the breakdowns. We can't get rid of the groove. There's it's such a complex equation. We have our identity as a band. We don't want to alienate anyone old, like anyone that's been with us. So appeasing that for our sake and for theirs, as well as appeasing the side of us that wants to change. So it's still going to be Chelsea Grin. It's still going to be the band that people enjoy, but it's going to be the shiny chrome version of it.
Mm.
So yeah, it's it's not an exciting tease, but I can tell people for sure that when it comes out, it's going to be something that we like really, really feel proud of. And we're not on a label. There's no pressure. There's no
Yeah,
timeline. I mean, we have our own timelines we want to achieve, but there's no one telling us what we can and can't do. For us, when you hear it, you'll know that it's exactly what we wanted to put out. So that's liberating. It's also scary, but yeah, whatever people hear next is sort of it's going to take a lot of effort to get there. It has taken a lot of effort, even just to get as far as we've gotten. So, so yeah, at least when people hear it, they'll know that we gave it our all.
absolutely. That's super exciting and super promising to hear. I want to thank you so much again for taking the time to sit down and have a chat with me. This is a huge full circle moment for me, and I wish you guys the best of luck. I'm so excited to hear what's to come.
Thank you so much. Hopefully, we'll see you out at a show on the tour.
Absolutely. I've already got my ticket, man. I'm super pumped.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for picking it up.
Of
We'll see you
course.
in a couple months.
Absolutely, man. Have a lovely day.
You too. Nice
Thanks so
chatting with
much,
you.
Bri. That was lovely.
Thank
See you
you.
soon.
See you soon. Bye.